Professional wrestling is often perceived as stupid, with over-the-top characters and storylines that are hard for some people to take seriously. I mean, where else would you find a man cosplaying a dinosaur fighting his former best friend called Jungle Boy, who is not a boy but a 25-year-old man inside a steel cage? But for those who are willing to look beyond the surface, professional wrestling can be a gripping and compelling form of storytelling that blurs the lines between reality and fiction. At its core, professional wrestling is a form of performance art that combines elements of theatre, athleticism, and spectacle. The wrestlers, or superstars as they are often called, are highly trained athletes who put their bodies on the line night after night to entertain the fans. But beyond the physical prowess and daredevil stunts, professional wrestling is also a medium for telling stories that explore deeper themes and emotions. Professional wrestling is a unique blend of fact and fiction, where the athletes are both themselves and larger-than-life characters at the same time. The stories told in the ring often mirror real-life struggles, backstage arguments and emotions, but with a heightened sense of drama and spectacle. In this way, professional wrestling can be seen as a kind of a modern-day mythology, where archetypal characters and conflicts are played out on a grand stage, creating a television spectacle where sometimes the stories are realer than anything else on television. Despite its reputation for being silly and over-the-top, professional wrestling is actually a deeply engaging and suspenseful form of storytelling that explores themes of loyalty, betrayal, redemption, and the never-ending struggle between good and evil. Whether you're a long-life fan or a newcomer to the world of professional wrestling, there is something for everyone in this unique and captivating art form. In professional wrestling, a babyface is a good guy or hero character who is portrayed as fighting for righteousness and justice. A babyface is typically portrayed as being likable and virtuous, and is often the protagonist in a wrestling storyline. Hangman Adam Page is a wrestler who is considered a nuanced modern version of a babyface. Unlike traditional babyface wrestlers who are often portrayed as perfect, virtuous heroes, Page is a more complex and multifaceted character. He is a rugged, hard-drinking cowboy who is often conflicted and struggling with inner demons, who isolates himself and hurts the one he loves through his antisocial and self-destructive behavior. Despite his flaws, he is still a hero at the heart and is willing to do what it takes to protect those he cares about. In many ways, Page represents the evolution of the babyface character in professional wrestling. Gone are the days of simplistic, black and white, good versus evil storylines. Today's wrestling fans crave more nuanced and realistic characters, and Page fits the bill perfectly. He is a modern-day hero for a modern-day audience, and his complex and compelling character has made him one of the most popular wrestlers in the sport today. Hangman's journey in AEW is often regarded as a masterpiece, and throughout it he has explored deeper philosophical concepts, in particular nihilism. Nihilism is a philosophical viewpoint that argues that life is without objective meaning, purpose, or inherent value. Nihilists believe that life is meaningless and that human existence is ultimately pointless. They may reject traditional moral or religious values and may see the world as being without order or meaning. Nihilism can be a deeply depressing and disillusioning philosophy and is often associated with pessimism and despair. Despair and depression have obviously been often associated with the Hangman character, so let's look at his journey. Page started off in Ring of Honor, where he is considered a future star of the industry. When he was discovered by the Young Bucks, they brought Page into the Bullet Club, a group of elite wrestlers that dominated the wrestling landscape. However, this would be the start of the perpetual descent for the Hangman, as this would be his first foot in the door to creating the cynical and nihilistic viewpoint, because Page felt he could never live up to the achievements of the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and other Bullet Club members, rendering all his achievements and actions as meaningless or without purpose. Hangman was first involved in the first ever AEW World Championship match, facing off against Chris Jericho, who was a titan of the industry and a multi-time world champion, even being as legendary as being the only man to ever defeat Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock in the same night. This was unequivocally and undoubtedly the biggest match of Adam Page's career. Becoming the inaugural AEW champion would cement him as a bona fide star, and then maybe, with this win, he would find meaning within himself and feel like he could hold his own in a faction with the greatest wrestlers on earth. Because of the occasion, Page decided to ask the Young Bucks to be in the corner for his match, supporting him on the biggest day of his life. The Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, always accompanied fellow Bullet Club member Kenny Omega to the ring for his big matches, helping him within the match when he needed to, and quite often they were the deciding factor between him winning and losing. But they rejected Hangman and refused to be in his corner. Adam would fall to the experience and superiority of Jericho and would always be left wondering two questions. Would the result have been different with the Young Bucks in the corner, and why did they reject him in the first place? But after a while, these questions faded to nothingness, and Adam came to a realization he was a ghost. Nothing he said or did mattered, and his achievements, accolades, and him himself was invisible to everybody. During this time, Hangman spiraled into heavy substance abuse and started to drink heavily. What started off as a way to celebrate winning a match quickly became a way to forget about all of the bad things that had happened to him. He saw it as the only way to numb the emptiness inside of him. The empty locker room in which his friends were never there for him, his empty list of achievements, and this feeling of emptiness inside his heart. He didn't care about the consequences of his actions as he saw life itself as pointless. Despite all the hardship that had happened to Page, there was still this small part of him that wanted to find purpose in his journey, despite his nihilistic outlook. He couldn't help but form a bond with Kenny Omega, who was also going through a rough patch at the time, following a string of important losses. Kenny Omega and Hangman Page lit the tag team division on fire, and the professional wrestling industry as a whole, picking up win after win after win, and eventually being crowned the champions. For a brief, fleeting moment, Hangman Adam Page was revitalized. His life had gone from meaningless and nihilistic to purposeful and passionate, and he had one man to thank, and that was Kenny Omega. This short moment of purpose quickly began to fade as once again, Hangman's feelings of inadequacy bubbled to the surface as he had never dealt with them, he had only pushed them away. Kenny Omega is often renowned as the greatest wrestler to ever walk on earth, and this created a shadow in Hangman's mind, a shadow that he lived in. Hangman would again turn to drinking to mask these insecurities he was facing, which further created tension between Omega and Page. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler noticed these insecurities and weaknesses within Hangman, and took advantage of these points to get what they really wanted: Omega and Page's tag titles. Dax and Cash befriended Hangman, drinking beer with him and being there for him in a time where Omega and the Young Bucks just weren't. Dax and Cash would face off against the Young Bucks in a match where the winners would go on to face Omega and Page for the championships. For Hangman, this was a big match. It was his new best friends, Cash and Dax, the ones that had been there for him, facing off against the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick, the men that rejected his request of joining them ringside for his biggest match ever, which consequently sent him down the deep, dark spiral of substance abuse and a cynical, nihilistic worldview. Hangman was distraught. He didn't know what to do, and in a short mid-lapse of judgment, Hangman stopped the Young Bucks from winning and cost them the match. They confronted him backstage, but it was clear he was a shell of his former self. His mental health and rampant alcohol drinking had taken a toll on the broken Hangman, and now he just stares at the shattered shards of once a great and respected wrestler who had just hurt his friends because of his inadequacies and insecurities. To make things worse, Dax and Cash revealed to Hangman that they don't care about him, they just wanted his bouts, and they beat Omega and Hangman for them on the next pay-per-view. Hangman now had nothing in his life. His championship was gone, a symbol that he wasn't inadequate, his friends were gone, and now he turned to the only constant in his life: alcohol. He started drinking again, and during this time period he enlisted in a cult known as the Dark Order, a decision that would change his life for the better. The Dark Order, while seemed to be sinister initially, turned out to be the greatest, most genuine friends that Hangman could have ever asked for. Hangman's nihilistic, bleak view of life evaporated. He realized he found much more purpose in life caring for his friends than winning championships. And even though Hangman wasn't perfect, he still made mistakes. The Dark Order picked him back up and put him right back on the horse. Thanks for watching. Are you tired of watching the same old wrestling content on YouTube? Are you ready for fresh, engaging videos that'll leave you wanting more? Look no further. Subscribe to my channel and join the thousands of satisfied viewers who have already discovered the endless entertainment and value that I offer. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button now.